Hey there YouTube, this is LonChaneyReviewer. Today I'm finally going to start my top 10 favorite movies. I actually did make a list of more movies, but I don't know if it's a bad thing to say, but I'm going to review those at a later date. Right now I really want to get through the top 10 because I don't want my energy to be drained completely for number 1. And that's the thing with countdowns is the problem is that you get drained by the end of it. But anyway, without further ado, this is my 10th favorite film of all time, Walt Disney's Triumph Fantasia. Now, before I begin, I just want to say this film is in color, so I'm going to change it in color. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we're in color. Okay, so this review is about Walt Disney's 1940 masterpiece, Fantasia. What's the plot of this film? Here's the basic description of what this film is, more realistically. Basically, it's taking the best of classical Western music. I'm not saying Western like American Western. I mean like Western, like the Western Hemisphere music, and applying it to some of the most beautiful animation ever created. Now, how did this film come about, you might ask? Well, Walt Disney wanted to do a Mickey Mouse short conducted by Leopold Stokowski in the Philadelphia Symphonic Orchestra, if I'm not mistaken. I might be. I think it was Philadelphia, and Leopold Stokowski did conduct music for The Sorcerer's Apprentice, which was the Mickey Mouse short in question. But that wasn't with the Philadelphia Orchestra. It was actually with the freelance musicians in Los Angeles that did that performance. That's why the music sounds so different from the rest of the film. But anyway, Walt Disney realized that the expenses were coming up so high that why doesn't he just do a feature film with a bunch of shorts and make it a concert feature? Today I'm gonna have a little surprise at the end of this video talking about this more in detail, but this film is incredibly ambitious for its time. One of the earliest uses of stereophonic sound, which is why the film flopped, because it required you needed to install $10,000 worth of equipment, if I'm not mistaken, into each theater to have Fantasound, which was their use of stereophonic sound. And that was one of Fantasia's many innovations. What do I love about this movie, though? Well, I love that it's this was a film that wasn't... For me, this is Walt Disney's most intriguing entry. This is probably his most intriguing film, in my opinion, that was made in his lifetime. This is after he did Pinocchio and Snow White. Pinocchio, I don't think that did very well at the box office because it was cut off from a very potentially successful European market because of World War II. Same thing with this film, unfortunately. It was one of the highest grossing films that year, but it just was so expensive that it really couldn't recuperate its cost until like the 1960s. Which is also very interesting because, well, in the 60s, I remember in the 1001 Movies You Must See Before You Die, one of the authors talks about this film in great detail and states that the generation that appreciates this film the most is the psychedelic generation, the baby boomers that were able to, do drugs, and that's how Disney marketed the film back then. It was immensely successful. Now, I'm got off topic there, but why do I love this film? Well, first off, it knows what it is. It's not a film that's like, oh, I'm just a fairy tale, or oh, I'm this. No, it's a bold experiment. It's actually, the original title was supposed to be the concert feature, but Fantasia is obviously a much more marketable name than that. So, they got Deems Taylor, the famed music critic and composer himself, actually, which is interesting, to basically be the MC, the master of ceremonies for this film. And we have, I believe, 7 sequences? And I'm going to talk about each one in detail. The first sequence is Toccata and Fugue in D minor by Johann Sebastian Bach, which actually is a beautiful sequence, and the animation is quite marvelous. 3D animation's only attempting to catch up with the brilliance of this stuff, in my opinion. nothing really beats 2D hand-drawn Disney magic, for my money. Then you have the Nutcracker Suite. I'm not saying these in order, I'm just saying as I remember them, and I think they might be in order. The Nutcracker Suite, which, has the mushrooms, the fairies, the dancing flowers, and it has like all the different movements and stuff, and that's quite an impressive sequence. You have the Sorcerer's Apprentice, of course, which is the most famous sequence in the entire film. Obviously, this sequence is, it's the most story-driven out of all the sequences, and you don't mind because it's Mickey Mouse, and it's one of my favorite Mickey Mouse bits because Mickey is not necessarily 100% the good guy. He kind of made a bad mistake there. So, and the animation, when I think in Mickey's dream sequence, is just marvelous with like the waves crashing and like the stars and like the moon and the comets. It just looks so nice. You have Rite of Spring, which is a very controversial piece at the time because, this was dealing with evolution and dinosaurs, and this film later on will have other controversies, especially against Christians. And it uses Stravinsky's Rite of Spring, which is actually the most mixed reaction, I think, out of any of these pieces. Most people I know, tend to say it's interesting, but not my favorite. And I really like it, actually. It's a very interesting choice to use Rite of Spring with the beginning of the Earth. And it's well animated, and just, it's kind of like dinosaurs are there, and then dinosaurs are gone. Then you have like another sequence, I believe, where there's not strings. It was like, it's showing like sound, basically, as a character. You have Beethoven's Pastoral sequence, which is one of the most marvelously beautiful sequences I've ever seen in any film, especially the Pegasi. The Pegasi in this film are just the most gorgeous Pegasi you'll ever see in any film. It's just, when I think of a Pegasus, I think of that movie. And the centaurs and the centaurettes are awesome. They're beautifully animated, they're sexy, and the music works rather well. The controversy here is Sunflower. A lot of people object to the fact that Sunflower has been removed. Guess what? Disney's a family company, alright? At least it's not George Lucas's Star Wars changes where it ruins the entire point of the sequence or the entire character. Cough, cough, Han shot first. Now, yes, I would like to see the sequence restored, but that's only because it's a part of the film originally. Otherwise, I get through the film fine. I really don't need to see Sunflower. I could just watch it on YouTube if I really wanted to, and you can. So just do that, alright? Then you have the Ponticelli Dances of the Hours, which is another great sequence with the hippopotamus, with the hippos, the ostriches, and the alligators and the elephants. They're dancing and they're like grabbing each other. Whoops, sorry. My bad. They're all they're doing all these dances, and it's kind of ridiculous, but it's really fun, which actually kind of prepares you for the morbid and very powerful final sequence, which is kind of a battle between Mussorgsky's Night on Bald Mountain and the Ave Maria by Schubert. The reason why these sequences is great is because it just has this emotional, resonating power. Like, the first half is Night on Bald Mountain with, like, the devil, or actually it's Chernenbog, but a lot of people just refer to him as Satan. Even Deems Taylor refers to him as Satan. So, for those of you who are getting angry about that, even the MC refers to him as Satan. So, don't worry about it. And he's just such a well-animated character. He just manipulates the dead, creates these, creatures, and then makes them even uglier, and it's just such a powerful and disturbing sequence of events, and Night on Bald Mountain, the music just works so well. And then you have the Ave Maria, where it's like you see these priests, these religious figures out there, and they defeat evil. And it's such a beautiful sequence, the Ave Maria. And I cry at the ending of this film every time because it's like, it ends on a hopeful note that good can triumph over evil. Now, what's my basic statement with this film? This film is not for everyone. It's not for little kids. I watched this as a kid and I enjoyed it, but I was able to enjoy it much more as an adult. I do not recommend this for people who don't like 2001: A Space Odyssey. I don't recommend this for people who don't like complicated art house films. I don't recommend this to people who just don't like films that don't have a 3-act structure. I don't recommend this to internet trolls because they would probably hate this film. But if you're willing to try this out, why not? It's a great film. I think it's in the Disney Vault now, but if you could pick yourself up a copy of this film, you're really doing yourself a service. Now, what do I think of the sequel? The sequel is good, actually, in my opinion. It's a little too kid-friendly, and it's short, but it works, and I showed it to my friends, and my friends really enjoy it. So I'd recommend Fantasia 2000 for people who are just getting into the Fantasia universe, and then Fantasia for those of you who liked Fantasia 2000 and would like to explore more. I think that's a very good summation of this. So my next review is going to be of Charlie Chaplin's The Gold Rush, so be looking forward to that. And yeah, this is my 10th favorite film of all time, Walt Disney's masterpiece, Fantasia. Lon Chaney Reviewer out. Peace.